No, seriously, I'm just kidding. Hi, my name's Rick Robinson. I am the general manager of KLRNradio.com. We are probably the largest independent podcast network that you've never heard of. We have a little bit of everything, and by that, what I mean to tell you is we have news, pop culture, special events, conspiratainment, true crime, mental health shows, drama productions, and pretty much everything in between. So if you're looking for a new podcast home to grab a little bit of everything that you love all in one place, come check us out. You can find us on X under @KLRNradio. You can find us on our Rumble and our YouTube channels under the same names. You can also find us at KLRNradio.com and pretty much every podcast catcher known to man. So again, feel free to come check us out anytime you like at KLRNradio.
Come gather round the footlights, lads, and hear the old boards groan. A tale of ink and iron will, of voices overblown. From mics and scripts to painted sails, we've traded shore for sea. The players will man the rigging soon. Aye, your hands, follow me. From Long John shadowed silver grin to Jim with compass true, we speak the words, we wear the scars, we make the old world new. No gold without the work behind, no legend without sweat. A stage, a ship, a single breath, the course is not set yet. We players sail, we players sail, we players sail soon. All hands to KLRN Radio, setting sail for Treasure Island, March 2026.
Not to be a backseat driver, but can you say for sure you got the best monthly payment possible on your auto loan? Could it be that you might have gotten a better deal by shopping the loan at a few places and have a lower car payment? Next time, before you go car shopping, visit Communication Federal Credit Union first. Our auto loan experts will find you a perfect loan and get you the lowest monthly payment we can. Communication Federal, your auto loan experts. Restrictions apply. Federally insured by NCUA.
Hi, everyone. This is JJ, the co-founder of Good Pods. If you haven't heard of it yet, Good Pods is like Goodreads or Instagram, but for podcasts. It's new, it's social, it's different, and it's growing really fast. There are more than 2 million podcasts, and we know that it is impossible to figure out what to listen to. On Good Pods, you follow your friends and podcasters to see what they like. That is the #1 way to discover new shows and episodes. You can find Good Pods on the web or download the app. Happy listening.
KLRN Radio has advertising rates available. We have rates to fit almost any budget. Contact us at advertising@klrnradio.com.
The following program contains coarse language and adult themes. Listener discretion is advised.
Got a vendetta. Coffee tastes like bad decisions I ain't made yet. Boss man talking about we got her, and that means me, brother. Afraid I got a terminal case of the I don't want us. Mind checked out, heart ain't in the building. That second hand's crawling like it hates my guts. The man treating rich like it's a sin, even God took a beat. So suck it. Thank God it's Friday, punching out alive. Hands in the air, middle finger to 9 to 5. Still waiting, but tonight I don't care. Cold beer sermon and a bar stool prayer. Take this job and shove it, I quit. Till Monday, cause tonight I'm free. Yeah, work and wait. It ain't owning me. So raise them up high. Let the whistle blow. Thank God it's Friday. That's all I know. HR in the break room sounding like a preacher, talking about culture, smiles, and being team players. Clipboard dreams on the fluorescent light, selling hours of my life just to make it to Friday night. Got dirt on my jeans, and grease on my hands, clock more over than quality plans. But when that bell rings, it's a holy sound. Feel like chains hit the floor when it echoes around. I ain't lazy, I just work my fill. If rest is a sin, guess I always will. Thank God it's Friday, punching out alive. Hands in the air, middle finger to 9 to 5. Bill still waiting, but tonight I don't care. Cold beer sermon and a bar stool prayer. Take this job and shove it, I quit. Till Monday, cause tonight I'm free. Yeah, work and wait. It ain't on me. So raise them up high. Let the whistle blow. Thank God it's Friday. That's all I know. Boss can have Monday, God on Sunday, but Friday night's mine. I ain't giving it away. I earned this beer, I earned this pay, earned every sip I'm about to take. Thank God it's Friday, punching out alive. Hands in the air, middle finger to 9 to 5. Bill still waiting, but tonight I don't care. Cold beer sermon and a bar stool prayer. Take this job and shove it, I quit. Till Monday, cause tonight I'm free. Yeah, work and wait. It ain't on me. So raise them up high. Let the whistle blow. Thank God it's Friday. That's all I know.
Ladies and gentlemen, I just realized I did something out of order because I forgot when I do that, it stops playing for you guys. Anyway, I was trying to turn the camera on and bring the intro down and did it in the wrong order. So here we are. It's Friday. As I used to say when I worked for OU, TGIMFF. Not going to say it for you. Now I just say TGIFF. Thank God it's finally Friday. For those of you working for the weekend, you are nearly there. As for me, I don't really have a weekend anymore. This is my long weekend actually because we have juxtaposition work and everything else this Saturday. But I also have 3 shows on the docket for today. So I'll be with you from noon to 2. Then I'll be with you from about 3 to 4. Then I'll be with you from 8:30 till about 10 tonight. Because, yeah, did I mention, hi, my name's Rick. I'm a workaholic. My last meeting was forever ago. We do have plenty of things to talk about today, though. So I want to thank everybody for taking the time to come in. Looks like we've got some folks starting to pour into the chat. Looks like we got Denny, we got VC hanging out. VC, Denny Mao Fugazi. He probably hates that that triggers in my head every time I see his name, but it does. Anyway, so yeah, it's Friday. Wait, you're in your house? You get a day off? What the hell? Sorry, this is Duncan and Tinny. He's like, I had this cranked up all over my house playing the intro. And now I'm like, dude, you're supposed to be at work. Slacker. Anyway, we should probably get the housekeeping out of the way first. Because for those of you who don't know, Elsa is on the loose again. ICE is doing their part. Doesn't seem to have been working so far. They haven't found her. Um, but yeah, so even here, we're expecting, I mean, depending on which models you look at, they're expecting anywhere from 0 to 4 billion inches of snow, possibly blending with ice and sleet and freezing rain and all that stuff. I, for one, would be okay with snow if we have to get anything. I would much rather, though, not um, get anything because, yeah, I live in the middle of nowhere. So if we get too crazy, I'm gonna be stuck anyway. So, but yeah, so the weather is still the story almost everywhere, because it's a mess. It's a mess. It's a mess all over. All right. Anyway, I realize my notes are kind of out of order this morning, which, anyway. I don't know what happened there. I'll have to rework those in a minute. But anyway, so the system is sprawling. Snow in some places is expected, ice in others, flooding further south. And the timing is what makes it dangerous. Overnight freezes, morning commutes, school decisions, and travel delays all stacked on top of each other. Airlines have already canceled thousands of flights at this point. Last I saw, I think it was over 1,700 last time I looked because of these conditions. So if you don't have to be out today, don't. So I was mainly teasing Denny when I said you should be at work. Um, because yeah, as far as I can tell here, it looks like it's not going to start coming in until sometime this evening. But once it gets here, it ain't leaving anytime soon. If it actually does a thing, because yeah, I don't trust our. So interesting side note, and I know you guys are going to laugh at this because I use AI for my music, but I don't trust AI when it comes to the weather. I think AI is half trying to kill us with the weather reports it puts out because I know a lot of folks above the age of 70 right now that were having heart attacks all week. And I'm starting to think it might have been on purpose. Maybe that's just me. Give me just a second here. Okay, so I guess we can start here because this isn't really part of my notes, but I'm sure it'll probably come up today with Amy Curtis on the Weekend News Roundup. So the FCC has apparently put liberal late night shows on notice over what it considers unequal airtime. So, and this is from Town Hall again. We all know many late night shows, especially Jimmy Kimmel and The Late Show with Stephen Colbert, are little more than campaign ads for Democrats. The FCC has issued a warning to late night talk shows: give GOP candidates equal time or risk violating FCC rules. And the bias is there. According to a study published by Newsbusters, 99% of late night guests were liberal for the last 6 months of 2025. It was the same for the first 6 months of 2025 and the last 6 months of 2024, too, surprising absolutely no one. The study looked at Jimmy Kimmel Live, The Late Show with Stephen Colbert, Late Night with Seth Meyers, and The Tonight Show starring Jimmy Fallon, and The Daily Show. When it came to partisan officials, the shows had 31 Democrats and a whopping zero goose egg, no Republicans to speak of. And Colbert led the pack with 17 Democrat politicians. Now, the FCC is about to put the smackdown on these folks and saying they have to give equal time to Republicans or risk violating FCC rules. I don't know why the late show's host would be concerned about doing this, since most Republicans are actually Democrats with an R behind their name anymore. So yes, I said it. So the FCC says that it is vital that broadcasters and legally qualified candidates understand equal opportunity rules that may require comparable airtime and placement for opposing candidates going forward. In a follow-up statement, FCC Commissioner Anna M. Gomez ensured that nothing has fundamentally changed with respect to our political broadcasting rules. The FCC has not adopted any new regulation, interpretation, or commission-level policy altering the longstanding news exemption of the equal time framework, Gomez shared on Wednesday. For decades, the commission has recognized that bona fide news interviews, late night programs, and daytime news shows are entitled to editorial discretion bias on newsworthiness, not political favoritism. While the principle has not been repealed, revised, or formally considered by the commission, the announcement does not change the law, though. It reflects a shift in enforcement posture. The First Amendment does not yield to government intimidation, Gomez said. Broadcasters should not feel pressured to water down, sanitize, or avoid critical coverage out of fear of regulatory retaliation. Broadcast stations have a constitutional right to carry newsworthy content, even when the content is critical of those in power. Funny how that changes when it's their side in power, though. And before you yell at me, it's funny how we laugh it up when it happens to them, but we don't like it when it happens to us too. So, anyway, I mean, again, I don't really know why everybody's that worried about it anyway, because nobody even that's the thing. When you really get down to it, folks, TV is a dying medium. It's funny because remember years ago, and I mean years and years ago, when MTV launched and then VH1 launched and all these video channels launched, and they said this was going to be the end of radio. You know what's still here, even if it's different than it used to be? Radio, in one form or another. You know what's gone? TV. Nobody really watches standard TV anymore. It's gotten so bad that it's even showing up in pop culture, and I've talked about this on multiple shows. That now you have people that are on screen making fun of people that still watch TV, saying comments like, "Oh, this is how the old people watch the news. Let me show you how to turn this on." And that's how I know the world has shifted, and there has been a quiet change in a lot of ways because it's not one that we saw coming. And sadly, in a lot of ways, this is not helping our attention spans either, which is pretty bad for the other things that we're going to be talking about today because people have zero patience anymore. Um, so let's get into that. So Gina and I talked about this on Wednesday night when I was allowed to sit in for Ross, and I want to thank Gene for the opportunity to hang out with him for the hour. And we spent the entire hour talking about Don Lemon, and the Minnesota church disruption. Um, Now, here's the issue, though, because a protest crossed a line in Minnesota, and a lot of Americans still agree that line does exist if you're not raging leftist morons are being paid to yell that that line doesn't exist. Over the weekend, activists died during the sidewalk, and that part matters because once you step into a sanctuary, this stops being a protest debate and becomes a religious liberty issue. Federal authorities moved quickly, not quickly enough for a lot of my full-on Republican friends and a few other folks I know. Arrests followed. Charges are moving forward against several individuals for interfering with constitutional rights. Now, I'm going to stop right here for a second because this part right here, this is what pissed me off all kinds of 16 different ways yesterday. Because for weeks, all I've been hearing is Pam Bondi's not doing anything. Pam Bondi's not doing anything. She needs to be arresting people. She needs to be perp walking people. And then she did. And this is, of course, after she made the point, not a lot of folks were working on Monday because it was a federal holiday. Some folks were really kind of ticked off about that one too, and said that there still could have been things that were done. Gene and I, if you missed it, did a really good breakdown on forensically why it took so long to get these charges processed and ready to go. It's because the crime didn't happen in front of officers who were able to witness it. So that means they had to rely on witness statements that still had to be collected. They had to forensically match up where these video footage was coming from, whether they were being doctored or not. So even though we now live in a light speed society where news is covered 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, not only by the outlets, but by everybody with a camera who now calls themselves a citizen journalist. Oh boy. There are still processes that have to be gone through. And as soon as those processes were able to be gone through, arrests were being made, including one of the women who basically taunted the DOJ to come get her, got cuffed and stuffed the other day. Now, where I got really mad yesterday was watching all the people that have been screaming and yelling on the right about how nothing's being done, nothing's being done, nothing's being done, to oh, yay, something's been done, but it won't matter anyway. It's not a wonder nobody on our side listens to us. I'm going to say this again. The left has ideologically moved the needle inch by painstaking inch for over 100 years. And they've done it by sticking together. And they've done it by having their disagreements where nobody could see them because they remained lockstep, moving in the same direction in the public. And it made it seem as if they knew what the hell they were doing because their messaging was pretty much always the same. Their rallying cries were always the same. Anytime there were disagreements, those were being handled off camera. Ours are right out for everybody to see. And we are the ones who disillusion ourselves because we are the ones who keep saying, this isn't enough. We want everything all at once, everywhere, right now. The little bit's not enough. There needs to be more. I'm not saying there doesn't need to be more, but I'm saying we need to start adopting this idea that if we're going to make changes, they're going to be changes that we can make quickly, and they're going to be changes that require that we dig in and entrench and push and push and push and fight for every inch the same way they did for over 100 years. Nobody talks about that part. None of this was quick. It took them over what 40, 50 years between the end of the Civil War and the vote the vote that was taken in 1913 to get their progressive income tax back. Then it took them how long to get to the point where for the longest time it seemed like 80% of the country agreed with everything that they were saying. And now they've pushed so far that they're starting to fracture because now their more crazy side is the one that's getting all the attention because those are the ones that have been being spoon fed to everybody in schools. But us, we keep getting the short end of the stick. And you know what? The funny thing is it's our fault because if you look at the data, it honestly looks like that when the Democrats are in charge, things work better. But that's because nobody takes into account how long it actually takes to change things in this country, to turn things around, to get the economy moving in the right direction. So we're always the ones that put in the hard work. We always think it doesn't happen fast enough, so we decide to stay home in the midterms. Then the Democrats get to come back into power, and then bingo, light switch, all the work that the Republicans put in to turn the economy around is actually working, but the Democrats get the credit for it on paper because they were the ones in power when everybody started finally seeing the things take off. And we're headed in that direction again, ladies and gentlemen. And for those of you like, well, if the Republicans aren't going to do everything that I want them to do right now, today, then I'm just going to stay home in the midterms. I wonder how many people felt that way in the Virginia governor election and wish they had changed their mind now. Because we can survive this for 4 more years if we just buckle down territory anymore. We're not. They nearly pushed us off the ledge now twice in the last decade. But just because we've stopped them from pushing us off the ledge doesn't mean we're not still dangerously close to the damn ledge. So can we just agree to fight to save this place before it falls apart? Or you know what? Then let it fall apart and see what comes after. I'm fed up. I'm angry with both sides right now because no matter what our side does, it's never enough. And then they finally start doing some of the things that we say we want them to do, and then we're still mad at them, and it's still not enough. Sorry, had to be done, had to be said. So back to this thing in Minnesota. This went national when Don Lemon showed up live streaming from inside the church, claiming he was there as a journalist. Here's where the law gets precise. Journalism is protected, participation is not. For those of you who are wondering why Don Lemon hasn't been charged yet, and you've seen the stories about the ties to the judge and this, that, and the other, I don't think that has very much to do with it yet. They haven't really been able to narrow down how much he was there as a journalist versus a participant. Some of his language choices make it kind of gray, but again, that's going to be that's a lot harder to prove than the other stuff that they've been able to prove. So as of now, others are of course facing charges. Lemon does not and is not facing charges after a judge declined an initial attempt. So just so you know, that door isn't locked forever. It just means that it's closed for now. The takeaway here isn't as partisan as everybody wants to make you think it is. You don't get to shut down someone else's worship because you disagree with federal policy. That's not how rights work. That's not how this works. That's not how any of this works. Just saying. All right, so we are going to take our music break. Wait, Denny, do you have a feed for that somewhere? If you do, I'll put it up if it's still going. Apparently, the governor is on national on TV right now, giving a response for all the stuff that's about to hit us right in the face, in the faces. All right, so while we're trying to get that squared away, we're gonna take our music break so I can get that up and going. So hang on just a second. All right, so this one is from our KLRM Radio House Band, and it drops next week. We'll be right back. My name is Rick Robinson. This is my show, and it's finally Friday.
When the call comes in, somebody answers. Day or night, they're already moving. Calm voices, fast hands, doing the work while the rest of the world freezes. From a headset to a truck, from a badge to a door, they don't stop to count the cost. They step in when it matters. It's not about being seen, it's about being there. They're holding the line when the lines go dead, standing their ground when the world goes dark. They're the calm in the chaos, holding the line through the fire, the flood. When everything falls, they don't ask why, they just answer the call. Always standing in the gap for us all. Before the sirens fade, before the scene is clear, someone's already making sense of the moment. Keeping people alive, keeping things from getting worse. Some run toward danger, some stay behind and hold it together. Different roles, same weight, same promise to show up. When everything's on the line, they're already there. They're holding the line when the lines go dead, standing their ground when the world goes dark. They're the calm in the chaos, holding the line through the fire, the flood. When everything falls, they don't ask why, they just answer the call. Always standing in the gap for us all. This is service, this is sacrifice, this is how lives are saved. No spotlight, no applause, just showing up again and again. They're holding the line when the world goes dark. When everything's breaking, they hold their ground. They're the calm in the chaos, holding the line. So we raise our voices for the ones who stand. Every voice, every badge, every helping hand. They don't ask why, they just answer the call. Always standing in the gap for us all.
I was trying to be fancy and forgot I didn't have the Treasure Island spot loaded anymore. Speaking of which, I need to say this. Apparently I was wrong because it's spring 2026, not March 2026. For some reason they said spring. I heard March because March is spring anyway. So yeah, sometime in spring of 2026, and I'll probably get that updated some point this week, just so not everybody's so confused. Well, I thought you said March, because I don't want to make them rush. Because sometimes it takes some extra work to get those things put together, and I have enough work on my plate, so I'm not going to rush them. And then, well, since you decided we're going to do it in March, you can be nope, not going to be me. All right, so the thing with Lemon, right? Since he's claiming to be a journalist, which by the left's own standards, he's no longer a journalist. Because remember, folks that do this stuff, they're not journalists. Guess what Lemon's doing right now? Basically, this kind of stuff. The only difference is he's going and doing it outside, which I plan on starting sometime soon. Probably, I just haven't gotten there yet. Probably going to start going around and recording some footage and stuff here locally. Probably not right now, but once it warms up, I plan on starting to do some man on the street kind of stuff, sometime here and there, and just kind of sparsing it into the shows. When I can find time to do that, I'm not sure, but it's the plan anyway. Just wanted to let you know what the plan was. I have a plan. I don't always know what it is, but I do in fact have a plan. Oh, okay. So since we're in Minnesota territory, we got to talk about this. So JD Vance was in Minnesota yesterday, speaking publicly about all the crazy things that are happening in Minneapolis and in Minnesota regarding the whole Minnesota thing, the protests. Sorry, I had a vapor lock moment there. Not even gonna try to pretend I didn't. But so JD Vance actually gave quite a speech yesterday about that, and suddenly now that I'm looking for them, I can't seem to find any of the clips that I thought I had bookmarked. I don't know where they went. I had bookmarks everywhere for this. All right, so we can talk about this though real quick. While I'm looking for the clips from JD. So a bunch of protesters were standing outside last night in like negative 15-degree weather, banging on pots and pans and screaming and yelling because they thought it was the hotel that JD Vance was staying in. The problem is he went home hours before that. So yeah, fun times. I think I may have found one of the clips I was looking for while I was vamping about that part. So hang on. All right, so we're gonna do this, and then we're gonna do this, and this is one of the clips. I think there's actually a couple of different ones. But hang on just a second. And where does that put it though? Over here, probably. Yep. All right. And we'll get me off the screen because nobody wants that. And here we go.
A local school district here is alleging ICE agents detaining a 5-year-old after preschool on Tuesday. We've also seen multiple American citizens detained by ICE, harassed by ICE in the last 6 weeks. Are you proud of how your administration is conducting this immigration crackdown here in Minnesota right now?
Well, I'm proud of the fact that we're standing behind law enforcement, and I'm proud of the fact that we're enforcing the country's laws. But, you asked a question about this 5-year-old kid. I actually saw this terrible story while I was coming to Minneapolis. We just left Toledo, Ohio this morning for an economic messaging event. And I see this story, and I'm a father of a 5-year-old, actually, a 5-year-old little boy. And I think to myself, oh, my God, this is terrible. How did we arrest a 5-year-old? Well, I do a little bit more follow-up research. And what I find is that the 5-year-old was not arrested, that his dad was an illegal alien. And then when they went to arrest his illegal alien father, the father ran. So the story is that ICE detained a 5-year-old. Well, what are they supposed to do? Are they supposed to let a 5-year-old child freeze to death? Are they not supposed to arrest an illegal alien in the United States of America, if the argument is that you can't arrest people who have violated our laws because they have children, then every single parent is going to be completely given immunity from ever being the subject of law enforcement. That doesn't make any sense. No one thinks that makes any sense. Now, there are so many of these cases like that where if you just understand the context, there have been a number of situations that I've looked into personally where I say, wait a second. We don't want ICE arresting American citizens. They're supposed to be enforcing the immigration laws against illegal aliens. So then I look into it and I find out that the American citizen who was arrested took a swing at an ICE officer. You can't have that happen. And of course they have to defend themselves. And of course they have the right to detain somebody who assaults a law enforcement officer. Now, this is my point. Do we want these things to happen? Do we want these arrests to be so chaotic? No, we don't. These guys want it least of all. But if we had a little cooperation from local and from local and state officials, I think the chaos would go way down in this community.
Truth be told, I know the chaos would go way down in the community because it would be pretty simple at that point. Because you know what they would be able to do? They would be able to say, "Hey, ICE, we saw that you guys have a detainer for this guy that we just arrested for this really terrible thing. You should come snatch him right before we let him go." And that would be amazing because then that's the whole thing. Everybody's talking about how I shouldn't be allowed to go door to door. I shouldn't be able to do this. I shouldn't be able to do that. Well, the problem is they have to do that because local law enforcement isn't doing their job. And like it or not, ICE is a federal law enforcement agency. And like it or not, federal law trumps state and local law. And I know, as much of a constitutionalist as I am, that there are times when that really upsets me. This does not happen to be one of those times because, and I'm sorry, as far as I'm concerned, Minnesota is in civil war with our federal government right now. Nobody wants to say that part out loud because once you do, it makes people understand that we could technically be sending federal troops in there. Nobody really wants to talk about that part either. But also, since they're fomenting terrorism by bothering people inside churches, because guess what? If that had been think about this from another perspective. If that had been a mosque, think about how much different this story would be going. And trust me, the reporter, regardless of what skin tone they had, would have been charged. Period. So I'm not saying there isn't more that needs to be done here. But what I am saying is take the wins and then keep pushing. Don't downplay the wins because it takes us forever to get them anyway. So when we get them, we need to be celebrating them. It's funny, and some of you are going to hate me for bringing this up, but the newest episode of Starfleet Academy dropped yesterday. Yes, I watched the show. Not sure if I'm going to keep watching the show, but I have to say parts of it I actually do really, really like. One of the things that reminded me of being back in school was there was this whole basically it's kind of the laser tag kind of thing. I don't remember what they call it. But the Starfleet cadets were getting killed by the War College cadets, and they actually managed to pull off scoring a point and winning one of the matches because I guess each match is until you get to the first whoever gets the first point, that match is over, then they move on to the next one. So they, even though they were down like 4-1, they were celebrating, dude. They were celebrating. And when you get to the point where you're getting your asses handed to you all the time, and trust me, in the realm of politics, we have been for a long time. You have to start celebrating the wins, pump up the people that brought you the wins, then start pushing for the next thing because it's no wonder most of the party doesn't listen to us anymore. And I know why do you keep coming back to this? Because it's why we keep getting our asses handed to us every midterm. I get it's not our fault. It's the historical precedent. No, it's not. There should be no reason with everything this administration has gotten right that we should even be discussing whether or not we're going to be able to hold things in the midterms. When is the last time you saw gas prices this low? And if you live in California or someplace solid blue, shut your pie hole because we ain't got nothing to do with that. There's only so much the president can do. But when is the last time you saw gas prices this low? When is the last time you saw food prices trending downward? When is the last time you saw interest rates dropping to the point where now home ownership is starting to become more affordable. When is the last time you saw us reporting net zero migration? Not immigration, migration, because there is a difference. These are the things that we should be talking about. We keep saying the administration isn't doing enough to push out their wins. We're the ones that are supposed to be in charge. Why are we not talking about their wins? Publicly talk about what they do right. Behind closed doors, talk about what they do wrong and find a way to organize behind the scenes to get things moving in the right direction. Because that's what the other side has been doing to us for over 100 years. And they've been winning ideologically for a long time. I think they may have finally pushed things too far. And I think what's happening in Virginia and what's happening in New York City, if it continues in the trajectory that it is right now, may actually help us in the midterms. And it's another reason why I've been saying for as long as I've been doing this, start letting people have what they voted for. That way we can figure out what works and what doesn't work because we say things won't work all the time, but we never actually try them. We don't let them try them in real time. We just point back to historical precedent and say, well, it didn't work 100 years ago when we tried it. And well, that was 100 years ago. And by the way, communism has never really been tried before. You know what? So let them try it. It is time that we start letting people have the things that they vote for. New York City is about to get a big dose of that. Virginia is already getting a huge dose of that. And for all the Republicans in Virginia that are, I didn't vote for it, I'm sorry. I don't know what to tell you because for some reason, a lot of you guys decided to stay home this time. And I don't understand that either. We keep at every time there's a presidential election, we talk about how this is a fight to save our country. But then as soon as we get the president elected, the fight to save our country's over. You did one thing. You showed up one time. You mobilized one time. And there are a lot of you on this broadcast that I'm not speaking to right now, but there are some of you that know I'm speaking to you. That's not enough. That's not enough. You did the hard thing once. That's not enough. Doing the hard thing once isn't enough to trigger a Rocky montage, and then everybody comes out on the winning side. That's not how this works. That's not how any of this works. This is hard work. You have to be willing to do it. If you're not, then just don't. To make room for somebody who is, because the problem is we have so many people that are willing to step up every 4 years and then not show up every 2 years. And with everybody stepping up every 4 years, they had plenty of help the last time. They don't need my help this time. Wrong answer. Because I'm telling you right now, the midterms could be a coin flip, and that's why I'm talking about this so much today. They could literally be a coin flip, and there's no reason they should be, especially when Donald Trump, and we'll get into this more in hour two, just walked into Davos, bitch slapped every single one of them, and walked out with everything that he wanted from Greenland, which is what I told you guys was going to happen. This isn't about securing Greenland permanently as a 51st state. This was about showing them that he wasn't going to back down until he got everything that he wanted from them. And you know what? At some point, the people in Greenland may decide they like America better than they like Denmark if they can get past their socialized medicine. But who knows? All I know is for right now, if this deal holds together, he's going to get everything that he wanted, and it won't have cost us anything because that's what the left started trying to do. Oh, did you hear about Donald Trump's plan to buy Greenland? It's going to cost us X amount of dollars, and he's going to give X amount of dollars to every Greenland citizen to welcome them into America. And then all the right was like, we don't have that money. Where's that going to come from? And guess what? It's not going to be what happens anyway. So a lot of you were getting ticked off for no reason. Yeah, Denny, I think you and I might be the only two in existence that like that show. And I say it's not even necessarily that I like it. I like the concept of the show because it is Friday. We try to have a little bit more fun on Fridays anyway. One of the things that I wasn't sure I was going to like at first was the fact that there's now two competing schools that train Starfleet officers. There's the Starfleet War College and there's the Starfleet Academy. The Starfleet War College came up after the burn. It was more about defense and offense and everything else. And one of the things that I've liked so far is as much as everybody's screaming and yelling about how the new Trek sucks, the new Trek is actually starting to try to reinstill the values of original Trek to the Starfleet Academy cadets. So that's why I'm continuing to watch it. For how long, I don't know. I will say the total relaxed and slovenly approach of the commanding officer of the academy does somewhat get on my nerves, but it is what it is. I kind of feel like Star Trek is trying to pull a page from the Orville card and just not taking itself quite so seriously anymore. And the people that have always taken Star Trek seriously are really, really pissed off that it's trying not to take itself so seriously anymore. What I will say about this is, and it's in its day, everybody made fun of Star Trek too. The only reason that it's alive right now is because our parents decided that their parents didn't know what the fuck they were talking about, and then our parents showed it to us, and we loved it. Otherwise, it would have never been a thing. It wouldn't have made it past the 3 years, but it did. So I don't know. So what I'm saying is we're probably going to wind up in the same boat with that because our parents hated Star Trek. They loved it. We hate Star Trek. Our kids and grandkids seem to actually like it. And they'll be the ones fighting to keep it alive after we're long gone and bitching about how much it sucks. So kind of like everything else. All right. Anyway, let's see what else we can get into here real quick. Like we got a couple minutes left. Oh, we gotta talk about this. We gotta talk about this. So if you haven't been getting in on this, you probably should. Because uh there's been a lot of folks calling these leftist ICE hotlines. And yeah. Let's just say that it hasn't been going as well as they hoped in a lot of ways. So this one is from Twitchy, which is one of the outlets that I write for. This is from Just Mindy, though, not one of mine. Operation Fake Out, leftist hotline send protesters to biker bars. Surprise, no ice, just a lot of laughs. So the account Blue Lives Matter has been working very hard to fight back against the left, specifically the leftists following ICE agents around and making their jobs very difficult. They started by having retired law enforcement and military drive around and appear to be ICE. Then the leftists followed the decoys and leave the real agents alone to do their job. Recently, they came up with this new plan. So this is from the Blue Lives Matter account. Stop what you're doing. We have a pretty huge update and confession about this whole report ICE activity hotline situation. By about 1 a.m., we had reports come in from numerous states that there had been incidents at a number of biker bars last night. And it turns out, well, hang on, I got to do the show more thing. So give me a second. So it turns out that the report ICE activity hotline had received tips about off-duty ICE agents and drinking at dozens of bars. These bars just so happen to be the biker bars owned or frequented by individuals who haven't always been on the right side of the law. So ICE protesters were alerted and given the addresses of these bars. According to friends of ours across the country, Beta Soy Boy, Gender Fluid, Communist Meal Team Sixers showed up with their F-ICE flags and tried barging into the bars, except there were no ICE agents drinking there. As a wise man once said, now you just can't leave. To clarify, we absolutely did not report those addresses to the Report ICE activity hotlines. That's ridiculous, guys. What kind of people do you think we are? Nah, we simply provided the Report ICE activity hotline to the good old boys that drink at those bars and asked them if they wanted to have a fun night. Hey, leftist, we've been warning you. There would be a time when the people who just wanted to be left alone get off the sidelines. Keep going, children. We're in this for the long haul and we're really, really good at it. Wow. Okay. That's pretty damn funny. That's pretty damn funny. All right. So, anyway. Oh, all right. So, you know what? We're going to go ahead and do the military tribute from open to close, and that way I can play the Friday song one more time. So let me get that queued up real quick. Because that's a long one, and that should take a minute anyway. All right, so let me get that queued up. 1 second. We'll just do it here to make life easier. All right, we'll be right back. Stay tuned.
Before the oath was spoken out loud, before you stood apart from the crowd, there was a moment, quiet and clear, when you chose to stand while others stayed here. You raised your hand with a steady resolve, knowing some nights don't end when the mission's done. Not for glory, not for the pay, but for something worth more than walking away. Only hold the line. They carried the weight where the roads ran long, through dust and heat when the days went on, holding ground mile after mile, doing the work that rarely drew a smile. They stood their post when relief ran late, shoulders squared under the pull of fate. Not chasing headlines, not asking why, just staying put when others pass by. We stand and watch in different ways, different nights, the same long days. One old spoken carried through, wherever duty calls us to. We stand watch over the deep. Navy. They kept their watch where the water turns black, miles from shore with no quick way back, measuring time by the rise and the fall, answering duty's unrelenting call. Through silent hours and endless seas, they stood their post in the cold night breeze, guarding the lanes the world depends on, so others slept and the light stayed on. We stand the watch in different ways, different nights, the same long days. One old spoken carried through, wherever duty calls us to. Simplify Marine. We go where we're sent. We go where we're sent. They moved as one when the moment came, side by side through fire and rain. First to step where the ground was thin, not for the odds but for the ones beside them. Trust was earned in the hard way through, every promise carried by the few. No turning back once the line was crossed. They stood shoulder to shoulder as brothers, never counting the cost. We stand the watch in different ways, different nights, the same long days. One old spoken carried through, wherever duty calls us to. Air Force, the sky is our domain. Air Force, the sky is our domain. They held their focus where seconds seem eternal, soaring between clouds and blue. Every movement measured and true, knowing what one clean moment could do. They watched the whole while guarding the small, every mission tied to a larger call. Calm under pressure, steady and clear, keeping the promise from far overhead. Space Force, we guard the dark without faith. They keep their vigil where silence reigns, beyond the weather, beyond the rain, watching the paths that the world relies on long before the war constant care in a canvas full of stars.
Standing the watch through the endless night,
Guarding the systems that keep us in light. While the watch is kept and the lines hold fast, they're alive, still moving on the other side of that.
empty chairs and quiet phones, long goodbyes that don't feel done.
Names we carry but never say, folded flags and debts we pay. Every service, every scar reaches farther than the uniform ever could.
Coast Guard, we come when it matters most.
They launch into storms when hope feels thin. Turning back isn't an option then. Hands reach out where the waters rise, pulling lives back from the edge of time. No headlines waiting when the call is done, just breathing restored and another life won. Every rescue, every return, a quiet promise kept in the worst conditions. We stand the watch in different ways, different nights, the same long day. One unspoken carried through wherever duty calls us to. For the ones who raised the right hand high,
Swore the oath and didn't ask us why.
for the nights you stood where freedom cost.
We remember, we honor, we won't forget the loss.
From the ground to the sea, to the open sky, to the guardians above where the silent stars fly. Every branch, every badge, every battle scar, because you stood,
We live free,
Lord, each know.
we stand here freely.
Because others stood before us. We accept the weight of what was given and the cost that came with it. We promise to remember those who serve, those who stand watch still, and those who never came home.
Hello, friends. Do you have a moment so that we may discuss our Lord and Savior Minarchy? No, seriously, I'm just kidding. Hi, my name's Rick Robinson. I am the general manager of KLRNradio.com. We are probably the largest independent podcast network that you've never heard of. We have a little bit of everything, and by that, what I mean to tell you is we have news, pop culture, special events, conspiratainment, true crime, mental health shows, drama productions, and pretty much everything in between. So if you're looking for a new podcast home to grab a little bit of everything that you love all in one place, come check us out. You can find us on X under @KLRNradio. You can find us on our Rumble and our YouTube channels under the same names. You can also find us at KLRNradio.com and pretty much every podcast catcher known to man. So again, feel free to come check us out anytime you like at KLRNradio.
Not to be a backseat driver, but can you say for sure you got the best monthly payment possible on your auto loan? Could it be that you might have gotten a better deal by shopping the loan at a few places and have a lower car payment? Next time, before you go car shopping, visit Communication Federal Credit Union first. Our auto loan experts will find you a perfect loan and get you the lowest monthly payment we can. Communication Federal, your auto loan experts. Restrictions apply. Federally insured by NCUA.
Hi, everyone. This is JJ, the co-founder of Good Pods. If you haven't heard of it yet, Good Pods is like Goodreads or Instagram, but for podcasts. It's new, it's social, it's different, and it's growing really fast. There are more than 2 million podcasts, and we know that it is impossible to figure out what to listen to. On Good Pods, you follow your friends and podcasters to see what they like. That is the number one way to discover new shows and episodes. You can find Good Pods on the web or download the app. Happy listening.
KLRN Radio has advertising rates available. We have rates to fit almost any budget. Contact us at advertising@klrnradio.com.
The following program contains coarse language and adult themes. Listener discretion is advised.
Got a vendetta. Coffee tastes like bad decisions I ain't made yet. Boss man talking about we got her, and that means me, brother. Afraid I got a terminal case of the I don't want us. Mind checked out. Heart ain't in the building. That second hand's crawling like it hates my guts. The man treating rich like it's a sin. Even God took a beat. So, suck it. Thank God it's Friday. Punching out loud. Hands in the air. Middle finger to 9 to 5. Still waiting, but tonight I don't care. Cold beer sermon and a bar stool prayer. Take this job and shove it. I quit. Till Monday. Cause tonight I'm free. Yeah, work and wait. It ain't owning me. So raise them up high. Let the whistle blow. Thank God it's Friday. That's all I know. HR in the break room sounding like a preacher, talking about culture smiles and being team players. Clipboard dreams on the fluorescent light, selling hours of my life just to make it to Friday night. Got dirt on my jeans, and grease on my hands, clock more over than quality plans. But when that bell rings, it's a holy sound. Feel like chains hit the floor when it echoes around. I ain't lazy, I just work my fill. If rest is a sin, guess I always will. Thank God it's Friday, punching out loud. Hands in the air, middle finger to 9 to 5. Bill still waiting, but tonight I don't care. Cold beer sermon and a bar stool prayer. Take this job and shove it, I quit. Till Monday. Cause tonight I'm free. Yeah, work and wait. It ain't on me. So raise them up high. Let the whistle blow. Thank God it's Friday. That's all I know. Boss can have Monday. But Friday night's mine, I ain't giving it away. I earned this beer, I earned this pay, earned every sip I'm about to take. Thank God it's Friday, punching out alive. Hands in the air, middle finger to 9 to 5. Bill still waiting, but tonight I don't care. Cold beer sermon and a bar stool prayer. Take this job, shove it, I quit. Till Monday, cause tonight I'm free. Yeah, work and wait. It ain't on to me. So raise 'em up high. Let the whistle blow. Thank God it's Friday. That's all I know.
Hang on, I forgot it. Welcome back into the program, ladies and gentlemen. TGIF. That's right. This is the Friday edition of the Rick Robinson Show. Don't forget, new time Monday, Wednesday, Friday, noon to 2. We're freeing up Tuesday, Thursday, because one, I usually have to work super late on Wednesday nights anyway, and it was really hard to get up and do a morning show. And two, there is a show that we want to start featuring, even if we don't carry it over here, over with our friends at SHR Media, Mission Ready Men, hosted by Earl Jackson. So that will be where I'll be hanging out on Tuesdays and Thursdays. Hope you guys will be there with us as well. Don't forget, coming up in just a little bit, less than 2 hours, we will have the Weekend News Roundup hosted with myself. Usually Brad Slager, Sean from SHR Media hangs out. Sometimes we get Amy Curtis. Amy Curtis had a birthday yesterday and has some other stuff going on, so she may or may not be with us today, but that's fine. Yesterday was her birthday. I'll give her a day off if she needs one. And then tonight I'll be hanging out with the lovely Aggie Regan starting at 8:30 p.m. Eastern right here live on KLRradio.com. Anyway, plenty of stuff to talk about still. So again, headlines everywhere. If you are anywhere in the United States, you're probably getting ready for some crazy ass weather. Thank you, Mother Nature. But anyway, so yeah, it's even supposed to get kind of hairy down here. So we'll see. Which I'll be honest, depending on weather situation, we may or may not have a juxtaposition tomorrow, or I may see if somebody else wants to sit second chair with Amish. Because I'm hoping things don't get as bad as they say they're going to be, because if we may not have power for a little bit, but I'm trying not to say things like that out loud very often, because I don't want to jinx anything. But yeah, so the weather stuff still is top of everybody's mind. So again, just to kind of go over it real quick, like again, there is there's a weather system, and I don't want you guys to take this one for granted. So this system is sprawling. It's covering about 2/3 of the country now at this point, is what models are showing. There's going to be again snow in some places, ice in others, flooding further south, and again the timing is what makes this one dangerous. There was lots of overnight freezing going into today. There's been some early commute issues in a lot of places. In Oklahoma, we're expecting this stuff to start coming in just after sundown. So, and going to be here for most of the day tomorrow. So you guys just wherever you're at, buckle down, make sure you've got enough provisions on hand and be safe. Because yeah, that's just none of it's good. None of it's good. Okay, so we got to talk about this. We got to talk about this because for years the WEF, the WHO, and all the global elites have been the ones setting all the talking points, sending out all the messaging, and telling us, the United States, what the hell it was that we were going to do. So while most Americans have been dealing with snow and potential power outages, global elites have been meeting, or usually meeting, quite comfortably in Davos. Not really as comfortably this time though, because they're nervous AF. Same crowd, same speeches, same solutions that never seem to apply to them, except Donald Trump was on the scene this time. And again, there's been a quiet shift there as well. So the disconnect that we keep talking about is why trust keeps collapsing, not just in government, but in institutions. Davos doesn't lack ideas, it lacks credibility, and it lacks good ideas. I will say this. Um, so one of the biggest things that happened in Davos was Donald Trump and some of his cabinet members basically explaining to the global elites that this idea of the New World Order and this giant economic shift they've been pushing towards for forever is dead. They didn't want to hear it. They didn't like hearing it, but it's still the truth. Because this, ladies and gentlemen, is why almost everyone who is in a position of power hates Donald Trump. Not because he's a terrible person, not because he's done horrible things, but because he is taking their power away. Now, according to the left and according to the global elites, he's taking everybody's power away and shoring it up for himself. But if you'll notice, the things he's actually doing is giving the power back to us, because there was a time that we ceded our authority to places like the WHO, the WEF, and all this stuff, and we're not doing it anymore. And there's no reason that we should be, because we've I don't know how to say this other than just to say it. We have forgotten who we were. We have allowed ourselves to be convinced that we are evil, terrible people, that this country doesn't deserve to exist, that it was built on the back of people that we treated terribly. And look, I'm not saying there weren't bad things that happened in this country, but I am saying that most of the things the left tells you are absolutely terrible were put into place for reasons to protect these people that were being exploited. Because if not for things like the Three-Fifths Compromise and the Electoral College, the South would have ran the entire country. Without things like the Electoral College today, New York and California would run the country. A lot of people that live on the left would be happy with that. A lot of us wouldn't be and won't be, and it's why we keep telling you the Electoral College needs to be a thing. Now, I honestly think there needs to be a revisement to the Electoral College, because I think they're having to spend too much time in too few states to win your votes. I don't think it needs to be. I don't think it needs to be 530. What is it? 535. I think it's 435 and then 100. So I guess it would be 535. I think they should only get the 2 votes for Senate seats per state, because then they actually have to campaign everywhere. Now, I could be wrong. It could be a terrible idea, but again, if they really had to basically pay attention to everywhere, things would actually start getting fixed. Because think about it, even in the administrations where things go good, they usually only go good for the swing states, because those are the ones that matter. Because if you can get them to swing your way, you've already got it. Because these other folks, for the most part, are going to be voting for you anyway. But that doesn't always hold true either. And then a lot of us that feel like we're in flyover country, we feel like our votes don't matter, because whichever way that wait, what? I am not what? I'm confused. Anyway. Sorry. Somebody finally spoke up in the chat, and at first I thought they were trying to say I was muted or something. So I was trying to figure out if I had an issue somewhere. But anyway, all right. So anyway, so yeah. So let's get back into the story now. Now that I've been sufficiently distracted, let's get back into the story. Oh, so hang on. Breaking story. So now that we're doing it, guess what? Everybody's getting in on the action. Apparently, the French Navy has now boarded a Russian dark fleet tanker in the Mediterranean. So suddenly everybody wants a little bit of this action. So Thursday, the French Navy, yes, you read that correctly, boarded or heard that correctly, boarded a Russia-affiliated tanker in the Mediterranean Sea between Spain and Morocco. Using X as his medium, French President Emmanuel Macron announced the operation. And this is from his actual X account. We will not tolerate any violation. This morning, the French Navy boarded an oil tanker coming from Russia, subject to international sanctions and suspected of flying a false flag. The operation was conducted on the high seas in the Mediterranean. We will not tolerate any violation. And sorry, I thought they were just going to do the read more part, but I guess they did all of it. So hang on. Mediterranean is the word I'm looking for. The operation was conducted on the high seas in the Mediterranean with the support of several of our allies. It was carried out in strict compliance with the United Nations Convention on the law of the sea. A judicial investigation has been opened and the vessel has been diverted. We are determined to uphold international law and to ensure the effective enforcement of sanctions. The activities of the Shadow Fleet contribute to financing the war of aggression against Ukraine. So, explain to me why we haven't been doing this all along. So, this seizure actually marks a much more muscular policy by Europe that can only be attributed to the U.S. interdiction operations in the Caribbean, where the U.S. has boarded several tankers, the most recent on Tuesday. So, I'm telling you, folks, we set the tone, and I've said this before. We're the ones that created international law to begin with. So, for everyone, this violates international law. I'm sorry to sound like Judge Dredd, but when it comes to international law, we are the law. So I don't care because I really don't care. We have been taking a back seat in too many places in too many ways for so long that it doesn't matter. And that's how I'm going to tie this back to Davos, because that's the message that they got with Trump in Davos and everything else that happened in Davos, including the governor of California, the failed state of California, who's decided he wants to try to run for president in 2028, even though he keeps saying that he's not going to, because reasons. But yeah, I thought this was awesome. Um, the French Navy's even starting to seize Russian tankers. Russia's going to be in a world of hurt, dude, if they can't sell their oil. Just pointing that out. All right, so we got to talk about this in the vein of the ICE stuff. So Holman has already told Spamberger to kick rocks. So after the Virginia Von Billen blocks ICE cooperation in Virginia, Mr. Holman says, yeah, that's not stopping. So White House border czar Tom Homan sharply criticized Virginia's newly inaugurated governor, Abigail. I know it's Spanberger, but I call it Spamberger for reasons. And was pretty quick to tell her that it doesn't matter because she's going to do her thing anyway. So President Trump appears to be on board, recently calling out Spamberger for limiting cooperation with ICE in Virginia. Well, and actually we have the clip, so let's play that instead. Hang on. All right, one moment. I think that's this one. Oh, it's not. Is it this one? Sorry, I have sharing going on in a couple of different places using different features, and I'm still trying to figure out how that makes things different. And did I mention I'm my own producer? So here we go. One moment.
Well, I hope there are no problems, because if there are, she's not going to get it corrected very easily. And that's a bad signal. That's not where the country is. The country doesn't want to see murderers and drug dealers and gang members and all coming from other countries and just stay in their area. Take a look at Washington, D.C. As you know better than anybody, it was very, very unsafe a year and a half ago. Because now it's a year, so I have to go a little more than a year ago. But it was a very, very unsafe place, and now it's totally safe. It's a beautiful. I mean, people are walking with their kids to restaurants. They meet their husband at a restaurant. The restaurants were all closing. Now the restaurants are all opening. The place is beautiful, and you have good-looking, solid military people walking around. It's actually, I think it's almost like an enhancement. Everybody feels safe. Washington, D.C. is a different place. If you go to, it's happening in Louisiana, where you have, we put some of the security in Louisiana. Go to Memphis, go to different places. I mean, wherever we put it, it's good. Now, even in Chicago, we got the crime down a little bit. We did just a little minor version of it, but we get no cooperation. Yeah. If I were a Democrat governor, I would say, boy, would I love to have Trump come in here so I could show some good numbers. But anywhere we go, everywhere we go, it's good. And by the way, the numbers are way down in Minnesota. If you go to Minnesota, the numbers are down because of us. But it's like pulling teeth.
All right. And so there you have Trump's response to Spamberger recently saying that she's no longer going to have Virginia cooperating with ICE detainers. So I guess Virginia might get a little taste of what's going on in Minneapolis if so, and I have no issues with that. All right, so we're gonna back up for a minute just because this again gives me a chance to help me and Gene take a victory lap because we were right and we called this the other day. And everybody's like, no, nothing's gonna happen, nothing's gonna happen, nothing's gonna happen. But here's a clip that helped, I believe, lead to the arrest of those couple of folks that just happened in Minnesota.
So this is Nakima Levy Armstrong. She's on the show on Friday. Levy Armstrong, civil rights attorney, longtime activist here in the community.
Yeah, she's a troublemaker.
This is Operation Pull Up, more of a clandestine operation. We show up somewhere that is a key location. They don't expect us to come there, and then we disrupt business as usual. So that's what we're about to go do right now.
We found out through the ACLU lawsuit that David Easterman, I keep saying his name wrong.
Spit it out.
Easterwood was a pastor at this church on Summit Avenue. And then we have the head of this whole operation standing in a pulpit preaching. And so that was really just not okay for us. I believe that's what needed to be done to get the message across.
All these comfortable white people who are living lavish, comfortable lives while children are dragged into concentration camps. You're living real life, nice lives with your lattes.
Oh, you have serious anger issues.
They're going to come at me with charges, and I'm not scared of that. There's no base for these charges. So, you know, Pam Bondi, you want to come and arrest me? You want to come and give me charges? So be it.
See, as you can see, the more you fuck around, the more you're going to find out.
And this, ladies and gentlemen, has been the fuck aroundest of times and the finding outest of times, especially for raging liberal leftists. Which is why I wanted to backtrack and share that little lovely bit of editing done by my good friend Gene for you guys. Hope you enjoyed that. Let's move on to the rest of the notes that I have because I just realized I only have like 30 minutes left. Dude, I don't know where the showtime keeps going. So we got to talk about this, right? Because everybody told us this wasn't going to happen. But before we do, because I realize I haven't done this at all yet today, let me talk to you about our friends over at Freedom Chat. If you like secure communication, if you like people not being able to take screen captures of the things that you're discussing, if you like knowing that you have secure end-to-end encryption with the folks that you are communicating with, you need to check out my friends over at Freedom Chat. That's freedomchat.com. You can go to their website. They have links to download either the Android or the Apple version and tell them Rick sent you if it gives you the option to put it in. And if not, that's cool too. Remember, we do have channels over there. I am still figuring out what to do with those channels. So we do have one for the Rick Robinson Show. We also have one for KLRM Radio. At some point, I may start putting some together for some of the other shows that I do. But that's a lot of channels, and it would just be me running them. So I'm not quite sure what I'm going to do with them yet. But I do know that some of the other hosts are starting to put channels over there. So again, just feel free to go check it out. Light the tires and kick the fire, so to speak. Again, that's my friends over at Freedom Chat, and you're going to love them. I love them. And again, in case anybody from the administration is listening, if you had Freedom Chat instead of Signal, you wouldn't have had the mess that you had in the beginning of your administration. Just saying. All right, so we got to talk about the Greenland thing because just a few days ago, everybody said this is impossible. It's never going to happen. And oh my God, he's talking about using force and blah, 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 blah. You guys still don't understand how Donald Trump negotiates. And you don't have any excuses anymore. Dude has been a public figure for almost as long as I've been an adult. He's been a politician now for over 10 years. And even though he likes to say he's not one, he's learned the game. He plays it now with the best of them. And he was already a great negotiator before he added the word politics to his resume. So Greenland doesn't sound exciting. And you have a lot of American folks that are like, why are we focusing on Greenland? I even have seen it from a few friends of mine on social media. But what you don't realize, and what you may not realize, is it sits at the crossroads of shipping, defense, and rare earth minerals. China knows it, Russia knows it, and we knows it. Yes, I said it that way on purpose. This isn't climate talk, it's map talk. And the maps always matter more. And that's just the truth of it here. So the thing going on with Greenland is, again, until 5 minutes ago, everybody said it was impossible. Now you've got Donald Trump saying that they have reached the framework of a deal that's going to give us basically everything that we wanted. We're going to, and it is a modification to an agreement that already existed, but we're going to be able to have the ability to put as many bases as we want there. We're going to have the ability to negotiate for oil and mineral rights. There's all these things that are going on that were completely off the table until 5 minutes ago. But everybody's like, "Oh my God, Donald Trump doesn't know what he's doing ever, and he's such a retard." And then you see him scoring win after win after win after win. Which again, if it wasn't, there's no reason in a world where anything would normally make sense that we should be talking about the midterms as if at this point it's a coin toss. But again, we're blaming the administration. The administration isn't doing a good enough job getting its message out. Really? Are you sure it's the administration's fault? Because I see them all the time. Half the time, you guys are complaining that some of the people that are top of the administration are spending too much time on the news. Doing what? Getting their message out. Well, they're not doing enough until they are, and then, well, it's still not enough. That's too little. That's not a big deal. And it's not going to matter anyway because the judges are going to stop it. But yeah, until 5 minutes ago, everybody thought this was impossible. So let's, in a second, let's take a look at this. And I want to do a breakdown on everything that is happening with this Greenland deal. So hang on just a second. And you know what? While we're doing that, we're going to go ahead and just go ahead and take our final music break. I think this time we're probably just going to go with Freedom Isn't Free because I don't really have any other idea what to play. So hang on just a second. And that was not the one I meant to click on. All right, so we're done with that one. So I think I need to make sure I hit the replace button though, or it's going to be funky. One moment, please. I keep forgetting it'll stack things now, so. You know what? I'm playing this one instead. I really like this one. I haven't released it anywhere yet, but I probably will sometime next month. We'll be right back. Stay tuned.
They say it's if somebody remembers, they say your legacy is only real if they can point and say that's him. If the room goes quiet when I walk in, if my shadow's longer than my sin, numbers climbing, names on screens, always craving accolades and needing to be seen. If they don't see me, I don't matter. If I'm not winning, what's the use? I gotta leave something carved in stone, something louder than the truth I know. Cause silence feels too close to death, and being forgotten scares me most. The world says it only matters if they see me, if they know my name. If I'm up in lights, I gotta burn it in so they remember. Before the darker night claims the light, I gotta make a mark before the lights go dark. Yeah, I gotta make a mark before the lights go dark. Say my name, don't let me fade away. I watch the faithful go unnoticed, hands so dirty from the work they never chase. Recognition, always walking in faith. Every prayer said in the shadows, every choice nobody praised. They weren't building monuments to fame, just kneeling to pray. Even when it was tough to stay, I felt the weight of what I wanted and the cost of what it took. I was chasing something empty while the answer overlooked. The world says it only matters if they see me, if they know my name. If I'm up in lights, gotta burn it in so they remember. Before the darker night claims the light, I gotta make a mark before the chase the crowd just to feel complete. I measure worth by clout, by those surrounding me. But there's only one name that matters, and I laid mine down to claim it. All these years I tried to leave a legacy when I was called to carry his name. The only thing worth leaving behind is a life that pointed back to him. Not my glory, not my fire, just faith that held when the whole world dimmed. It shouldn't matter if they knew my name. My life should be the proof of his glory. What matters is what they saw in me when the world was watching. Now I live my life. It never mattered if they saw me or if they ever knew my name. If they saw Jesus in my walk each day, then I ran my race the right way. Let the lights fade, let the noise fall. Heaven knows the choice I made. I don't need my name in the spotlight if they saw Jesus in my walk each day. If they saw Jesus in my walk each day. If heaven knows my name, that's enough of name. That's enough of me.
And welcome back into the program, ladies and gentlemen. We got a couple of segments left, and that's it. But don't forget, I'll be back here in just a little bit over 90, a little bit under 90 minutes, hanging out for the weekend news roundup, which is our Friday show, and then back later tonight with the lovely Aggie Rican now hanging out on Aggie the Barkeep. I still think she should change it to Aggie the Bar Babe, but she doesn't listen to me. And that'll be 8:30 p.m. Eastern, so usually about 8:30 p.m. to 10. And then tomorrow night, as long as I'm not snowed in and stuck and have interwebs, uh, we should have first Front Porch Forensics. They're producing that one on their own now, so that one should happen regardless, as long as they have one. And then we should have a new juxtaposition. We're gonna do a primer for our Juxtober because we're starting to try to get ahead of the game and map out things in advance instead of last minute going, hey, what should we talk about for the entire month of October? But yeah, so we've got a primer coming up for that tomorrow night. So that kicks off at 10 p.m. Eastern. Hope you guys will join us for that. Sunday night, Kingdom and Country should be back. Again, Monday is now not my half off day because that'll now be Tuesdays. So Mondays will be the Rick Robinson show starting at noon. Monday night will be America Off the Rails, followed by our friends over at SHR Media with The Edge of Liberty, hosted by Sean Lewis. Tuesday nights right now are kind of up in the air. We do have an announcement coming soon. Unfortunately, Manorama has left our schedule. The guy who started it, found it, ran it, built it, is stepping away, and it didn't really feel right for us to try to keep the show going without him once he knew that he wasn't going to be able to come back. So we are spinning that one down. We do have a Tuesday night show coming soon, which is another reason why I'm kind of moving my schedules around a bit, because now Tuesday nights will be the Cocktail Lounge, and starting in 2 weeks, the new show, 2 weeks from Monday, or Tuesday, sorry, will be the new show, and then we're going to be carrying BZ live on Tuesday nights now instead of on a replay. And then, but the live part for BZ actually starts this week, not 3 weeks or 2 weeks. I'm losing count, man. Have too many different things going on. We've got Jeff and Amish with the D&D show launching in like 3 weeks now. We've got the other one launching in about 2 weeks ish now. So yeah, there's lots of things happening here at KLRN Radio, and we're trying to do some new things because that's the whole point of me patterning this years ago when I came up with the idea after AM radio. So that it wasn't just always all news and all politics all the time. There was some fun stuff too, and that's kind of been the plan all along. So we're starting to see that take shape more. Also, just a reminder, in the spring, not necessarily March, because they said spring and I said, oh, March. Yeah, because I guess I was trying to rush it. The KLR Radio players will be setting sail for Treasure Island. That one should be a lot of fun. I think Jeff's going to start swinging for the fences more now that he knows that, I don't know if Treasure Island's going to have any musical parts to it yet, but I have a feeling those might start creeping into our plays more now that he's figured out we do have some folks that have some singing talent. I don't even necessarily count myself among those. I like to sing, but I don't. Anyway, I like to sing. Sorry. Anyway, I'm like having Looney Tunes moments or something. And not the cartoons either. Oh, wait. Did I say that out loud? My bad. Okay. So let's get into the final little bit of the show here. We're gonna kind of be all over the place because there's still lots of things that we need to talk about. So there's the Supreme Court stuff. Then because of all the stories that are coming out with negative coverage regarding ICE and children, the Border Patrol commander Greg Bovino decided to get into this, and so we've got a clip on that. So we're gonna play that here in just a second. As soon as I can figure out where I am. Is that this one? No, I think that's this one. And yep. Okay. Except now, okay, there we go.
Thousand plus lost children that were trafficked across that border. Now, when we've got the news media talking about children, I'd certainly love to hear more reporting on the 300,000 lost children. How about the 14 that we recovered at that pot farm a few months ago in Camarillo, California? The 14 lost children trafficked across the border that were found working illegally on a pot farm in California. Very little reporting from the Minneapolis news media here. I didn't really hear much from you guys. And then some of the more heinous crimes against children that are trafficked across the border that ICE and Border Patrol saw daily back when that border was out of control over those past 4 years. I'll detail one for you, folks, that's truly heinous. Border Patrol agents there in the El Centro sector encountered a young child, was approximately 3 years of age. The child appeared to be drugged, not with his parents, with strangers. Agents managed to wake the child up after doing what is known as a sternum rub, which is a technique to wake someone up that may be induced by drugs. As the child woke up, we understood the child's parents were not with him, and medical examination saw that this child had non-surgical sutures in his abdomen. Let me say that again. Non-surgical sutures in the child's abdomen. He was being trafficked across the border in that condition. That's not an isolated event with the U.S. Border Patrol or ICE. We saw that many, many times. Drug children coming across the border, and guess what? Other than a couple of news outlets, I believe News Nation and Fox reported, nobody else would. Nothing on a child with non-surgical sutures in his abdomen, and nobody knows why.
So it's funny the things the media aren't talking about, right? So and again, we've already talked about it a little bit, but we're going to talk about it again. The attempted arrest of the man who fled ICE agents, and I think he was eventually taken into custody. And then the media screaming and yelling that they were arresting a 5-year-old child, and no, that's not what happened. The person who was technically legally responsible for said 5-year-old child abandoned them in the freezing ice and snow. What were they supposed to do? Again, these are the things that piss me off. If everybody on both sides would get the hell out of their feelings for 5 minutes and look at things logically, you would understand that this isn't Nazi Gestapo tactics. This is us trying to enforce our laws as written. We were never supposed to allow this many people across our borders in the first place. We were never supposed to allow so many people in to basically collapse our social safety nets. And trust me, ladies and gentlemen, when I tell you that has been their plan all along. And that's why I keep telling you, we can't get in our feelings either. We need to take a look at what's actually working and see the changes that are being made and stick to it. Now, I'm not saying there aren't plenty of things that we still need to be concerned about. And I'm going to talk about a couple of those things in a second, because I've been seeing a lot of disturbing social media posts that have a lot of folks up in arms about a lot of different things. So the closing bit of the show isn't going to be as much fun as I always try to make it to be, because there's a couple things that we definitely need to talk about, but this happens to be one of them. Get out of your feelings. Focus on what's working. Start pushing in the other directions for the things that aren't working. But for God's sake, quit being so negative about it all the time, because if you're negative about it all the time, you don't see the things that actually are going well. And there are a ton of things that have gone well, especially for us only being a year into the administration. We're only a year in. This man has done more in the last year than the previous guy did in 4 to make the country a better place, but it's still not enough because we expected so much about this. So before we get into this final segment, the whole push about all this is the framework for the deal for Greenland. This will be the last thing that we talk about before I get into the scary parts of the day, because I've seen a lot of folks freaking out about a couple different things and I wanted to talk about them. So there has been a framework deal set for Greenland. So what's in the framework has reported so far. U.S. gets total access to Greenland. Trump characterized the new understanding as granting the U.S. wide access in the region, especially around military bases and defense activities. Collaboration on Arctic security. The stated focus on this is boosting defense cooperation with NATO allies in the Arctic. Limits on Chinese and Russian investment. Part of the reported framework includes restricting major non-Western investment in the territory, which is a very smart thing. I think we need to limit non-Western investment in our own damn country while we're at it. Reviving or expanding the 1951 U.S.-Denmark Defense Agreement. That treaty originally allowed U.S. military presence. The new framework could update it. So there are some important caveats because full legal details have not been published yet. Greenland's own government and Denmark have stressed that sovereignty remains non-negotiable. European officials have expressed concern over the lack of transparency. But let's talk about why we're interested in as far as lack of transparency. I think he's being rather transparent about why he's trying to do all these things. But we're interested because this is about national security. The Arctic is regarded as a rising security frontier because one, proximity to Russia and northern flight routes, space and missile tracking opportunities, and early warning radar positions. Trump argues U.S. control, or has argued, U.S. control or influence is necessary to counter Russian and Chinese activities in the region. There's also the economic impacts. Greenland sits on deposits of rare earths and other critical minerals needed for electronics, defense systems, renewable technology infrastructure, and a host of other things. Not to mention, I think they've got some pretty good oil deposits. But this is why China is pissed off right now because China's had us over a barrel when it comes to these supposed rare earth minerals. And again, I think this whole rare earth thing is somebody taking a page out of the Rockefeller's book and starting to call things like oil fossil fuels to make them seem more finite than they really are, because it doesn't seem they're as rare as we once thought they were, at least not lately. The global pushback and reactions have been wide ranging. Denmark and Greenland have both repeatedly said Greenland is not for sale. Danish leaders increased military presence on the island and engaged NATO allies to reinforce their sovereignty. European and NATO voices have also been adding to the scree. EU leaders say territorial integrity must be respected, and some are preparing Arctic security packages of their own. NATO allies are cooperating on exercises like Operation Arctic Endurance to deter aggression in the region. Public opinion in Greenland. Polling shows a large majority oppose becoming part of the U.S. and prefer the status quo with Denmark. I trust those polls about as far as I trust ours. So again, just so you know, this is not a finalized treaty. This is not a U.S. purchase like Alaska in 1867. But here's a bit of information that I didn't know until I started researching the Alaska purchase in 1867. Greenland was actually supposed to be part of that deal, and that fell apart. Then we also had to save Denmark by occupying Greenland in, I believe, World War One, and like dummies, we gave it back. So, this is primarily a geopolitical maneuver rooted in Arctic security and resource competition. Sovereignty questions remain unresolved and are a major point of contention between US, Denmark, Greenland, and European allies. I submit to you again that Donald Trump was using the "we're going to take you over" as a hard stance to get everything else that he wanted. And right now, it seems like it's on that trajectory. So that's the update in Greenland, and that's with everybody saying it's never going to happen, all that other fun stuff. So we got to talk about this part though, because I don't know about y'all, but I've been hearing all the news stories about how Ring is about to start giving the government unfettered access to your Ring camera data. That's not entirely true. So people, so the ring cameras, there are no blanket warrantless ability to access them, but there are emergency carve outs, much like the whole Fourth Amendment thing that's been the brouhaha in Supreme Court about, there are circumstances where warrants wouldn't necessarily be required. So there are emergency carve outs and voluntary sharing and pipelines. Those things absolutely do exist. However, for now, Ring is saying that it will not cooperate with law enforcement and or ICE agents without a warrant. If you want that policy to be more for fermented, shall we say, cemented, you probably need to be speaking to the folks that run the ring company, not our government. So the other thing that I've been seeing a lot of lately, and this will be the last thing that we touch on before we start wrapping things up for the day, is apparently everybody's starting to hear that there may be something coming out in one of these packages from the Senate that installs kill switches in cars made after, I believe it was 2026. There's no mandated police kill switches yet, but impaired driving tech standards are being built, and capability creep is a legitimate concern. So while that is something that could happen, it doesn't seem to have happened yet. Now, if that changes, I will definitely let you know. Um, Now, the thing about it is, there's a lot of folks, and I actually got in a bit of a dust up with somebody last night who was like, "Well, you think this is funny because the cops don't always, warrant to come into your house." And I said, "When did anything that I say have anything to do with any sort of a humorous take?" Because it didn't. And for those of you who don't know, one of the times when I was, wearing a badge and carrying a gun, I was able to use that very caveat to save somebody from dying in a house fire that nobody knew about yet. There was a hint of smoke coming from one of their vents in their attic. Just a hint. And I was already there trying to deal with something else. I knocked on the door. Nobody answered. Saw the smoke. Kicked in the door after trying to get somebody's attention for another 3 or 4 minutes. Found them in a part of the house that was already engulfed in smoke that you couldn't really see yet, passed out, and drugged them to safety. There are reasons this carve out for the Fourth Amendment exists. And it's not law enforcement's fault if people figure out how to abuse it. It is law enforcement's fault if they don't start charging people for knowingly abusing it, which is the other problem that we need to start talking about, because there are too many people in this country that get passes anymore because everybody hates law enforcement and everybody hates the courts. So you're blaming the wrong people if you're blaming cops for using that carve out from the Fourth Amendment, because it exists for a reason. If there are people that are abusing it and reporting people that are supposedly suicidal just so cops will come mess with them, that should be something that those people that are being swatted, is the new term, talks about with local police as to why they can't file charges now that they know that this was a false police report. Because that's what that is. So you need to be talking about talking to and about your local law enforcement that don't want to do their jobs when it comes to these swatting reports. Because this exception isn't the problem. This exception has never been the problem. This exception has existed for a very, very long time. I mean, I know because I used to hear about it on, even TV shows back in the day. One of the shows that I used to watch when I was a kid back in the 80s that had Fred Dreyer. This has always been an exigent circumstances type thing. And that's even where I learned the phrase exigent circumstances. Hunter and McCall standing outside of a door. And he's like, "Hey, McCall, you smell smoke?" "No, I do. Exigent circumstances." And I think that's why so many people are afraid of it, because it is actively abused on television. It's not actively abused in real life. Most of the time, if it gets abused, it's because somebody else is calling the cops to use that to their advantage to try to scare the crap out of somebody else. That's what needs to start being addressed, not whether or not we should have an exigent circumstances exception in the Fourth Amendment, because that thing, when used properly, can and does save lives. I mean, and that's the other thing. So say we don't have that anymore. Then what happens? Cops have to wait for a warrant to be able to go in when somebody's dying? Because because why? I mean, that's the thing. Reasonable suspicion and exigent circumstances are what save lives in this country when used properly. Because there are times when cops can go in and go into property for reasonable suspicion as well. Because say somebody commits a crime and they're chasing them and they go into their home, guess what? They can go in after them at that point because they have reasonable suspicion that they are dealing with a criminal because they watched them do something stupid. So we're going to take that away next? Is that the next thing that everybody's going to be up in arms about? Look, I am a freedom guy. I am one of these people that laugh my ass off every time we give away just a little bit more of our freedom in exchange for supposed security that's never going to exist in the first place. But I'm also a guy who understands that has to be a tightrope because there are people that are out there putting their lives on the line every single day to make sure that you and I can live the life that we want to live. And those people are getting the crap into the stick every day, especially now. I don't know how they do it anymore. And I had this same talk with my youngest son, who told me just a few months ago that he was considering, because he was getting job offers from a couple of different police departments, that he wanted to go to work for them. And we had serious talks about it for a minute because I'm like, are you sure that's what you want to do? You need to look at the political landscape for these departments that you're considering going to work for. And for now, he's decided not to do it. Not because of the things that we had discussed, but because he realized that while it is really, really what he wants to do, he can't afford to take a pay cut right now because he's raising children and has a wife. So he's staying where he's at for now because he makes more doing what he's doing right now. Now, that may change in the future, which is another reason why we had these talks about make sure that you are very aware of the political landscape for the departments that you're going to be applying for if you decide to take these jobs. And don't just look at how much the money difference is. Look at the difference in the political landscapes. Because you may wind up working somewhere where you're going to wind up finding yourself in a bad position and nobody's going to be there to have your back. And I don't want that for you. All because we've decided the police are the bad guys. Just like every other profession. I'm not saying there aren't bad cops, but I'm saying it seems lately there are a hell of a lot more bad teachers than there are bad cops. When you got kids that can't even read past the 4th grade level, and you got every other week news stories coming out about teachers doing bad things that would have made me happy as a teenager if it was one of my teachers. But back then, teachers didn't look as pretty as they look today. I don't know what happened there either. I think that may be part of the problem. Anyway, believe it or not, ladies and gentlemen, that is pretty much the end of this one. I'll be back with you here in just about an hour with the Weekend News Roundup. We'll be hanging out with you till from about 3 to 4. And then I'll be back later tonight, 7:30 my time, 8:30 p.m. Eastern, hanging out with the lovely Aggie Regan as we do an episode of He Said, She Said. And then back tomorrow night, hopefully, God willing, and I'm not frozen like the dude from The Shining by the time all this is done. Mostly joking there, but anyway, that dude, they're talking about anywhere between 4 inches to a foot. And I know it's dudes measuring, so it could be anywhere from 2 to 6, but still. Had to be done. All right, ladies and gentlemen, again, that's going to do it for this one. I want to thank everybody for taking the time to hang out with us today. We are going to go out the way we came in, and we're going to let this run in its entirety, and then I'm going to shut it down. You guys enjoy the rest of your Friday, and thank you for those of you that spend part of your workday with me. I hope you had earbuds in if you decided to do that. Just saying. And hopefully you'll be back with us in about an hour. Bye, everybody.
Got a vendetta. Coffee tastes like bad decisions I ain't made yet. Boss man talking about we got her, and that means me, brother. Afraid I got a terminal case of the I don't wanna. got checked out. Heart ain't in the building. That second hand's crawling like it hates my guts. The man treating rich like it's a sin. Even God took a beat. So suck it. Thank God it's Friday, punching out loud. Hands in the air, middle finger to 9 to 5. Still waiting, but tonight I don't care. Cold beer sermon and a bar stool prayer. Take this job and shove it, I quit. Till Monday, 'cause tonight I'm free. Yeah, work and wait. It ain't owning me. So raise them up high. Let the whistle blow. Thank God it's Friday. That's all I know. HR in the break room sounding like a preacher, talking about culture, smiles, and being team players. Clipboard dreams on the fluorescent light, selling hours of my life just to make it to Friday night. Got dirt on my jeans, grease on my hands, clock more over than quality plans. But when that bell rings, it's a holy sound. Feel like chains hit the floor when it echoes around. I ain't lazy, I just work my fill. If rest is a sin, guess I always will. Thank God it's Friday, punching out live. Hands in the air, middle finger to 9 to 5. Bill still waiting, but tonight don't care. Cold beer sermon and a bar stool prayer. Take this job and shove it, I quit. Till Monday, 'cause tonight I'm free. Yeah, work and wait. It ain't on me. So raise them up high. Let the whistle blow. Thank God it's Friday. That's all I know. Boss can have Monday. But Friday night's mine, I ain't giving it away. I earned this beer, I earned this pay, earned every sip I'm about to take. Thank God it's Friday, punching out alive. Hands in the air, middle finger to 9 to 5. Bill still waiting, but tonight I don't care. Cold beer sermon and a bar stool prayer. Take this job and shove it, I quit. Till Monday, 'cause tonight I'm free. Yeah, work and wait. It ain't on me. So raise them up high. Let the whistle blow. Thank God it's Friday. That's all I know.
Say goodnight, Gracie.